Fresh off hosting the FIFA World Cup in 2010, South Africa became the first African nation to host the FIFA World Cup. 3 years later, they hosted the African Cup of Nations where Nigeria defeated Burkina Faso in the final to win their third AFCON title. 2 years later, AFCON 2015, Equatorial Guinea, Ivory Coast defeated Ghana 9-8 on penalties, having played goalless draw in regular time. In 2017, Gabon hosted the 31st African Cup of Nations where Cameroon defeated Egypt 2-1. AFCON 2019, Egypt, Cairo, Algeria defeated Senegal 1-0 in the final. In 2021, Cameroon Yaoundé hosted the African Cup of Nations where Senegal defeated Egypt on penalties 4-2, having played goalless draw in regular time and in extra time, trailing 120 minutes of football in an exciting final. On Saturday, the 13th of January 2024, Ivory Coast, Abidjan, will host the 34th edition of the African Cup of Nations. Who will win that one? Only time will tell. Welcome to AFCON Show on Sport Talk, where we'll be giving you the best beats in the world of AFCON. We'll be looking at the exciting teams, the players. Not just the best players in the nation, but we're speaking about the best players in the continent. Absolutely. Speaking about Victor Osimhen of Nigeria, who plays for Napoli and is also the CAF Best Footballer of the Year. We're speaking about Egyptians, Mohamed Salah, who plays for Egypt and Liverpool. We're speaking about Egyptian Mohamed Salah, who plays for Liverpool, is arguably one of the best footballers in the world at the moment. We're talking about Moroccans, who have so many amazing players, but the best one is definitely the right back, Achraf Hakimi, who plays for Paris Saint-Germain in France. And we're going to touch on the Côte d'Ivoire's golden boy, Simon Adingra, who plays as a winger for Brighton and Hove Albion. 6 group from Group A to F. The 2 top best teams and also the 4 best third-ranked teams we advanced to the last 16, also known as the knockout stages. And obviously, the 2 worst teams in each group will definitely be eliminated from the tournament. Before the knockout games, of course, the teams who have qualified will get a 3-day break from January 24 to get themselves prepared for the big one, the knockout games. Egypt, with the AFCON history of 7 titles, suffered heartbreak in 2017 and also 2021. Do they have a chance now in AFCON 2024? Cameroon, the second most successful AFCON nation with 5 titles. Will they make it 6 titles in AFCON 2024? The Black Stars of Ghana are the 3rd most successful team in AFCON history, having won 4 AFCON titles, but done since 1982. And Nigeria, they have won 3 AFCON titles. Will Victor Osimhen lead Nigeria to their 4th AFCON title? The host nation, Ivory Coast, have won 2 AFCON titles. The most recent one was in 2015. Algeria have won 2 AFCON titles. The most recent was in 2019. And DR Congo have won 2 AFCON titles too. Let's get straight into it, Taiwo. AFCON 2024 is just around the corner. Or can I say AFCON 2024 is here? So quickly, I just want to know, what are your expectations, going into the AFCON 2024 in Ivory Coast? My expectations are really high. This is the biggest showpiece in Africa, the African Cup of Nations, and the build-up has been really great. Looking at the quality of the players, we're talking about Morocco with, Coach Walid, and also the players. We're looking at Ivory Coast, so many attacking outlets in that place. Nicolas Pepe. Right. There is the golden boy, Simon Adingra, the 21-year-old, who plays for Brighton and Hove Albion. We're speaking about the Super Eagles, who have amazing players. We're speaking about Ademola Lookman, Victor Osimhen, who are doing really well in Italy. Looking at Ghana, there's Mohamed Kudus. Will it lead, Black Stars of Ghana to their 5th AFCON title? We'll see that. But trust me, it's really looking really great. The atmosphere, the stadiums, everything is looking really nice. And I can't wait for the tournament to begin. And still on the tournament, AFCON, we're going to be talking about Ivory Coast, the host nation. They played their first game versus Guinea-Bissau. Who gets that one for you? For me, it's just Ivory Coast. They are the host nation. Like you mentioned, the crowd, the atmosphere, the energy, and all of that. So for me, I'm definitely, rooting for Ivory Coast, to get the 3 point on that one, because, they have to make a statement win. It's the first game. Yeah. So definitely, and having been in the same group with Nigeria, they would really, really want to put up a fight and say, hey, we are going to get the #1 spot in the group. But yeah, so for me, I really think Ivory Coast will defeat Guinea-Bissau. And let's also mention that these guys, they've never played against each other, so they will be new and all of that. But I definitely think Ivory Coast will get the 3 points on that day. And moving on to the second game in the group is Nigeria versus Equatorial Guinea. What's your take? On paper, Nigeria definitely gets that, but it's important to note that Equatorial Guinea are actually a solid side. You know, the coach has built a really core group of players where they can be defensively solid and hit on the break. And you know that kind of system will definitely hurt any team. You know, right. Nigeria and Equatorial Guinea via head-to-heads. Nigeria definitely wins that. They played 3 games. The recent one was in 2018 when Nigeria defeated them 3-1. So definitely Super Eagles would get the win in their first game, but never rule out Equatorial Guinea, of course. And on Sunday, we'll see a very big game. Egypt, Mohamed Salah, who is going to captain the Egyptian side, will take on Mozambique. Who do you think would win that one? Egypt for me. I rate Egypt highly. You know, they have the experience in the AFCON, you know, with the history of 7 titles and, you know, getting to the final in 2017 and also 2021. Yeah. So for me, and I consider in this AFCON 2024, I consider Egypt as the every odds favorite, you know, to win it this time around. So for me, I think Egypt will do a light work on Mozambique. And speaking of Mozambique, they played participated in 4 AFCON so far in their history, and they have never get past, you know, the first round. So for me, I think it's going to be an easy one. No disrespect to Mozambique, but I think it's going to be an easy victory for Egypt on that day. And moving on to the second game in Group B, Ghana versus Cape Verde. The Black Stars of Ghana definitely have a lot of points to prove in this AFCON tournament. They haven't won an AFCON tournament since 1982, and that's a long time ago. And, you know, Mohamed Kudus, the hot guy from West Ham United, and the coach, Chris Oakton, will be looking, you know, to get their hands on an AFCON title. They play Cape Verde, and it's going to be an interesting game, but I'm definitely backing Ghana to get that. On head-to-head, Ghana have won 4 in the last 4, and Cape Verde has not scored versus the Black Stars of Ghana, but it's definitely going to be an interesting one, of course. So finally, the AFCON 2024 is upon us, and trust we're going to give you the build-up, the best from the build-up, the matchup, and everything about the AFCON. You know, going into a tournament of this size, you know, we definitely have favorites. So who are your top 3 favorites going into the 34th edition of the AFCON? My top 3 favorites: Egypt, Morocco, and Senegal, in that order. I think those 3 teams will definitely give it a real fight. And, you know, in tournament like this, like you mentioned earlier, we have teams that we call them the dark horses. So for you, who are the teams that we consider as the dark horses? I mean, the Black Stars of Ghana might not like being the dark horses because they expect to be favorite, but definitely Ghana and Angola, they missed out on the last AFCON, and I think they will do well this AFCON. And also Malians, I mean, like we call them here, they have got Yves Bissouma and Amadou Aidara, so definitely they will be up for it. Remember, guys, all this game, the African Cup of Nations, the English Premier League, the Saudi Pro League, the NBA, the tennis, and every other sport is available on OneXBet. OneXBet offers the highest thousands of odds in 182 sports every day. Millions of players choose OneXBet, so why don't you join them and write your own success story? All you have to do is grab your smartphones, grab your tabs, grab your laptops, and log on to www.onexbet.ng. Register and get a welcome bonus of over 145,000 naira. It's so simple because OneXBet gives you more. We have come to a conclusion of today's episode of Sport Talk, brought to you by OneXBet. We sign out by saying, love yourself, love your neighbor, and love the game. I am Taiwo Olasuja, and I am definitely Kende Olasuja. Until we come your way again, stay safe.